Hi everyone. What I'm going to talk about in this video is the past 2 months or so, sort of an update of what's going on in my life. While I do this, I'm going to work on something for my YouTube channel. So this is an extension cord holder. That's the two sides of it. If you're interested, this is a close-up photo in case you want to buy one yourself. What I'm going to use it for, let me just grab it here, okay, is putting this cable here onto it. So this is an Ethernet cable. It's what computer and computer network equipment use for hardwired connections to each other. It's the same idea as Wi-Fi, but a physical connection. So temporarily, I'm going to use this Ethernet cable to connect the digital piano computer into my home networks so I can go live on YouTube while playing the piano on a regular basis. So the idea with using this is that there's somewhere to put the cable back onto after I finish. I get concerned about tripping because of what's wrong with my legs. So let me just grab the case off it here. So what you have to do with these, okay, there we go, I got the case off. Okay, so what you do is for the top part right here, you wrap up to 15 feet and that'll be your one free end. And then the rest gets wrapped on the bottom, and the one end will likely get plugged into the wall, and then the other will go to the device. So what I specifically need is 9 feet, or roughly 3 of these. Okay, 1, 2. This doesn't have to be an exact measurement. So there's my 3 of them. And for the top part, you start with it at that point, so then you can unwind the cable. So while I talk, I'm just going to sit here and do this, and I'll try to keep it in the frame. So I had a medical appointment yesterday. It was for my knee joints. I got the special brace that you're seeing up on the computer screen. If you haven't figured it out by now, blue's my favorite color. You may have got that idea by the Ethernet cable and then by the brace itself. So the purpose of that brace is to stabilize the knee joint in the hopes that I could redo the regenerative medicine treatment. I do want to be honest with you that I'm not entirely convinced that it'll work now. I have had more setbacks that unfortunately were serious, where my kneecap very severely dislocated, as I'm demonstrating in this video with a knee anatomy teaching model. So let me back up a little bit. The type of regenerative medicine that I had, you need to be protected as if you were in the womb. You have to be very careful with yourself. So there's no high impact sports. You know, you can't do anything like martial arts, for example. You have to baby the area that's being treated. So, I mean, for the most part, that's not a big deal because I wasn't doing the things anyways that would cause a setback. But when the kneecap shifted to the left and to the right, when it dislocated, that was the end of it working in December. So the purpose of this knee brace is it locks the knee joint in position, and it's there. For better or worse, it's where it's going to be. Now, before, I'm just untangling the cord right now. Before you get really happy for me, this brace is a bit of a double-edged sword, unfortunately. And what I mean by this is that it causes a type of knee arthritis that's typically found in morbidly obese people. So, in other words, it's a good short-term solution for a specific problem. It's a good option to get you through if you're having a specific type of knee tear until you can get to the point of surgery if that's what's needed, or to get through a regenerative medicine treatment, for example. But 3 to 5 years of usage and you'll wear your knee joint out, and that's just how this particular device works and the way it does. What it does is effectively makes a wedge of your knee joint, forcing the knee separated where the arthritis is the worst, or if you're in my situation where you've got a tear in the knee cartilage, it forces it apart mechanically. But by then putting all your body weight on the other edge, you're doing what someone that's way overweight experiences with their body, and why their joints will prematurely fail. So it's not a permanent fix. It's not something that you would use, if you were an athlete in training. It's not like a support device that you could use and rely on for muscle building, for example, or for weightlifting. So for me specifically, the hope is that I could then get through about 3 months of exercises, building the quad muscles. So those are the muscles that are between the knee and the hip joint. Boy, I wish you could see the mess that I'm untangling right now, which is why I got this extension cord holder. So there's 2 specific exercises that are beneficial, and that honestly anyone with arthritis should be able to do. They're in the group of exercises known as isometric. So isometric exercises stress or flex the joint, but without movement in the joint. So the pro is that you're not going to experience pain because you're not rubbing arthritic surfaces together while you're building the muscles. And if you're backed into a corner, it's a really good option. There is a con though as well. The con is that it only helps the muscles that you actually contract. So let me try to elaborate on this. You have to figure out an exercise for each individual muscle group. And all things considered, as long as you treat it in pairs, or as long as you understand the anatomy in that area of the body, isometric exercises are a really good option. And honestly, when you feel good about yourself because you've done something to help yourself? For most people with a physical disability, this is something that could be done 20 minutes, 3 days a week. Put your favorite music on or put your favorite video on and just do some basic exercises. Even other ones that maybe like raising your hands from your waist up high, a dozen times would be good for you, because that would help avoid constipation that comes when you're not as mobile. So what's hoped for my two exercises, the first one is putting like a coffee can or a pillow between my knees and then push in. So the knee joints won't move because a coffee can is a solid object. But you get the benefit that the muscles have been used, and to that extent they are strengthened over the long run. So you're not talking about this instant gratification that's just so prominent in society right now. This is not a microwave, it's not a microwave dinner type response where you're just heating something up and it's going to be ready in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. You need to work at it, be consistent, and even if you're not feeling that great, you still have to stick with it if you're going to get any type of healthy, helpful response. And that is the upshot of it. I mean, generally speaking, exercise would help anyone unless there's a specific condition, some type of healthcare concern that exercising would be dangerous, like if your blood pressure is unstable and you are being treated to get it stable, and where you're not exercising for a few weeks, for example. But generally speaking, bodies do need to be used, and we're made to move around. So this kind of comes down to finding creative solutions for the best quality of life that can be had. And if you haven't figured it out, I just want to tell you straight up that my cable here is quite twisted, which is why I'm kind of bending it in every kind of which way. So the one exercise, as I've said, is the tin can, coffee can between the knees. Then the opposite exercise is taking a belt, like what a man would wear around his waist for pants, dress pants. Or it could even be, a woman's, like a clothing accent. I don't know if that's the right word. Accessory may be a better word. Where a belt is more decoration than functional. And you push outwards. So that would target the sets of muscles that are in the quads as best as possible that you can do with the knee. And what you do is sort of push out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let go. Break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you kind of do it in groups. You don't necessarily have to go quite that rapid, and you could count to 10, for example, and have a 30-second break between them if you're struggling. But that's the hope, is that the brace enables me to do this. What it's going to do is provide a mechanical separation between the quad muscles and the knee that's been so troublesome, in the hopes of stabilizing the knee. The quad muscles, that's the muscles between the knee joint and your hip, are what's responsible for and heavily influences how well your knee joint moves. So I got my brace yesterday, and I asked the Authorist, that's the brace maker, if he would help me practice walking. And they have a very basic physiotherapy room, but enough that you can test a brace, or if you're getting an artificial leg in their facility, you can test the artificial leg and get some guidance how you're doing and not doing. And that appointment yesterday went well. And I do mean this constructively. I enjoyed it. I don't enjoy every medical appointment. It was nice to have a medical appointment that I felt was positive and has gone much better than several others have in recent months. The next appointment that I have, appointment to another tangle here again. Right, I don't know if you can't see that yet. That mess is what I'm untangling now. So my next appointment is on April the 14th. And this particular appointment is with the doctor that did my regenerative medicine treatment in November and wants to redo it. So the brace maker would like me to spend about 3 months redoing it. 3 months getting muscle strengthening before redoing the regenerative medicine treatment. I tend to think that the doctor that did my regenerative medicine will agree with the reasoning behind this. The original preposition was to do it as fast as possible, but with my right kneecap dislocating twice, just sort of barging ahead, sort of like a bull in a china shop, is just not helpful to me and just not practical. I do have some other technical questions. I don't know that it's helpful sharing them on here with you about both this and some other concerns that have come up related to my skeletal system that need to be talked about first before I barge ahead because of how bad the past few weeks have gone. I do have the new refrigerator, and if I'm honest with you, it's proving exceptionally helpful having the water dispenser right built into the refrigerator. Where I have the water filter is on the main floor of my home, but without central air, the water's 80 degrees and warm, so you're turning on the tap and waiting a minute just to basically get cold water from the city supply through the house into the water filter, through the water filter, and then down, up, and into the kitchen to refill the water bottle. And with how I can't stand long, that had a very short life. That just wasn't going to be able to be sustainable. So the water dispenser and the automatic ice cube feature have both proven to be really, really helpful, and both are in the right direction for helping me in my life. The refrigerator arrived after 3 weeks, and if I could give anyone a tip while we're still in the pandemic that needs a major appliance, the website, the corporate website knew when it was going to be available. It had more knowledge than the sales associate did when I was buying it. So for as best as possible and as practical as possible, trusting the website on when something will become available seems to be a helpful strategy right now during COVID. I mean, some of the major appliances didn't say they'd be available until the end of May, and that's a really, really long time to go without a normal size refrigerator. Okay, so that's that part of my life. It may interest some of you to know that I've decided to try making sushi. I'm not using raw meat, just for the record. I've decided to fashion something similar to a California roll. And that went okay. And then I've now tried a salmon roll, or salmon sushi, with baked salmon. and I was actually happy how that went. What I ended up doing was cooking the salmon and then throwing it into the freezer for about 15 minutes just to cool it down, and that was a really good strategy. And what I've done, if you're interested, is cooking half a cup of brown rice with a cup of water. I've got a single serving rice cooker, so it it genuinely works well. In fact, I'll put a picture of the single serving rice cooker when I go to produce this video for YouTube. It might be worth some of you knowing, just as an option. The reason, part of why I went to rice was because potatoes were spoiling. Another reason I went to rice was because of its shelf life. Like, dried rice can sit in a bag as long as it's protected from dust and insects, and in the event that a mice gets in your home, it can be there for a while and it's not really going to go bad. So rice, and specifically having a single serving rice cooker, has helped. The key feature on this particular model is the choice between brown and white rice, and the temperature of cooking, as well as the amount of water that you use with the two of them varies. And this one does a really good job with cooking the brown rice. I think it's also worth saying that going to brown rice was a strategy given to me by a dietitian in 2018 to avoid constipation from the medicines I use to manage my chronic pain. So honestly, that part of my life is looking up. So what I've been doing with the sushi is the rice and then raw cucumber, but you could easily substitute a cucumber for dill pickles and just chop them lengthwise and then make them into rectangle pieces, and it would work just as well for you. And then you can get sesame seeds or any other type of seed that you're partial to. And the biggest thing is to leave about a 1-inch area of the seaweed wrap at the top that you don't put rice on when you're spraying the rice out. It's just a thin layer, maybe 2 grains tall at the very most. And all you do is put some water across the top, and if you roll it and you've got the 1-inch gap, you can roll it where the weight of it is sitting down on that water, and for all practical purposes it glues the edges together, and then you're just left to cut it up into bite-sized pieces. It's not been hard doing it. Sushi doesn't have to be your thing, and I perfectly accept this. But think about what you want in life. I had intentionally decided that even if the appointments were going to go bad this month, that I wanted to have something here that I would be glad that that's here and could enjoy while reflecting on the appointments if it did not go well for me. So I'm glad I got it here. I think the last thing I want to talk about in this video is I've again expressed interest for the Sailability program. So there's a program here at one of the local marinas where they've got a wheelchair lift, like a crane, that ups over and drops you onto a sailboat, and you get out on the water twice a week or 3 times a week, depending on which program you sign up for, and sail for about an hour, weather depending. What they kind of do is chain everyone together like a bunch of ducks following each other on the water, and then you just float on your own for about an hour. I think it'd be good for me to try. They have the equipment, so I'm trying to do some things in my life that that are quality of life based. So and I'm also going to be wall gardening this summer. It's another change I'm working towards. I want to talk about the wall gardening in a separate video, so that others can mimic me. And what I think I'll do is set it up in the house, just so that if others want to do it, they're able to take advantage of the growing season. I'll work towards getting the parts together so I can demonstrate it, sooner than later. Okay, I hope everyone's doing well. As you can see, I'm making progress. I've got about 10 feet of cable left to go, but I've just sort of been talking now for nearly 27 minutes. I don't mind sharing my life with those who use my videos. It's kind of nice being able to inspire those who need it and help lift up those who might be having a bad day. Okay, if you have any questions about anything I've said, if you want me to talk about any topic, and I really don't mind doing so, although if we get into things like sex, I'll need to mark the video for adult only, but I am happy to discuss what's related to living with a physical disability. Thank you all for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.